Welcome to the Mansuri Review, where we deep dive beyond the headlines and unpack the topics that matter. This is where we break down insightful interviews from the Mansuri Show on ARY Digital and analyze key articles and news from Pakistan Link and Urdu Link. Expect in-depth discussions, expert analysis, and unique perspectives you won't find anywhere else. Let's dive in.
Sounds good.
So today we're exploring the journey of Quratulain Fatima, a Pakistani woman who has quite literally worn many hats: fighter pilot, peace builder, and now a champion for Pakistan-U.S. trade.
Yeah, her story is fascinating, especially given, the cultural context of Pakistan.
Right, she was one of the very first women in the Pakistan Air Force serving during the war on terrorism.
Oh, wow.
Talk about breaking barriers.
Really speaks to her determination. It's easy to talk about wanting change, but she actually stepped up and did something incredibly challenging.
Absolutely. And she didn't stop there. She later transitioned to civil service, focusing on peace building.
Oh, that's interesting. Did she talk at all about what prompted that shift?
It seems like a natural progression for her. In her interview on the Mansuri Show, she talks about how all her work, whether in the Air Force or civil service, is ultimately about serving Pakistan and creating a better future.
That makes sense. And it seems to tie in with her current role as trade and investment counselor at the Consulate General of Pakistan in Los Angeles.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting from an economic perspective. She's on the front lines of promoting trade between Pakistan and the U.S., which is Pakistan's largest export market.
That's a big responsibility. So what's her approach? Is it just about maintaining existing trade flows, or is she trying to do something, more?
Oh, she's definitely not just maintaining the status quo. She's pushing for diversification of Pakistan's exports, moving beyond the traditional reliance on textiles.
Smart. Relying too heavily on one sector can make an economy pretty vulnerable. What are some of the new areas she's highlighting?
IT products are a big one. The tech sector in Pakistan has seen some impressive growth, recently. She also sees potential in halal foods, organic goods, and even things like surgical items and sports goods.
Wait, sports goods? Doesn't Pakistan, I thought they were already known for that.
They are. But she's thinking bigger. Did you know Pakistan actually manufactures the footballs used in FIFA events?
Whoa, I had no idea. With Los Angeles hosting both the World Cup in 2026 and the Olympics in 2028, that could be a huge opportunity for Pakistani businesses.
She's definitely thinking strategically. She's been heavily involved in trade shows like Sourcing at Magic, connecting Pakistani companies with potential buyers in the U.S., and the results have been pretty remarkable.
Really? What kind of impact has she had?
Well, under her leadership, the number of Pakistani companies participating in Sourcing at Magic has jumped from just 7 in 2022 to 44 for the upcoming February edition.
Wow, that's impressive. That's a clear sign that she's effectively advocating for Pakistani businesses.
And it's not just about numbers. She's passionate about showcasing the quality and the craftsmanship of Pakistani products. One example that stands out is Lucky Textiles, a major denim manufacturer that's known for its sustainable and eco-friendly practices. They've had tremendous success at these trade shows, securing millions of dollars worth of business.
That's awesome. That's a fantastic example of how these trade shows can really open doors for Pakistani businesses. But let's be realistic. There must be challenges, right? Breaking into the U.S. market, it's not exactly a walk in the park.
Of course, there are always challenges. Competition is fierce, and navigating the complexities of international trade can be daunting, especially for smaller businesses.
Right. And there's also that perception hurdle. Some American buyers might still have, outdated views about the quality or reliability of goods from Pakistan.
It's a valid point, and it's something Fatima is actively working to change. She emphasizes the need for Pakistani businesses to meet international standards, invest in quality control, and build strong relationships with their U.S. counterparts.
Makes sense. Sounds like she's taking a multi-pronged approach, addressing both the practical and perceptual barriers to trade. And it seems to be paying off.
It really does. But her efforts extend beyond traditional industries. She's also a driving force behind promoting Pakistan's burgeoning tech sector. Remember the Pakistan Tech Investment Conference that she spearheaded in Silicon Valley?
The one that generated $22 million in investment pledges. How could I forget? That was groundbreaking.
Exactly. It was the first time a Pakistan-focused investment conference of that scale had been held in Silicon Valley.
That's huge. What were the key ingredients to its success?
Well, it was a combination of factors. Fatima's vision and relentless drives were obviously crucial. But she also had strong support from organizations like the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan and the Pakistani-American community. It was a true collaborative effort.
That's great. This raises an interesting question, though. Do you think this conference marks a, like, turning point for Pakistan's tech scene? Especially its visibility, in the U.S.?
I do. It put Pakistani startups on the radar of U.S. investors and entrepreneurs who may not have been paying attention before.
And considering the growth of Pakistan's IT sector, this could be just the beginning.
Absolutely. There's a lot of untapped potential there.
Yeah.
And Fatima's determined to, showcase it to the world. But it's not just about tech. She mentioned other sectors with huge potential, particularly in the context of the Californian market.
Oh, like what does she have in mind?
Organic products and halal foods, for example.
Mm-hmm.
California has a large Muslim community, and the demand for these products is, growing rapidly.
That's a smart observation. It aligns with her focus on understanding the specific needs and demands of the U.S. market and tailoring Pakistan's export strategy accordingly.
And she's not just thinking about exporting raw materials. She wants to see Pakistan move up the value chain.
This is where it gets really interesting. What does she envision for Pakistan's role in the global economy? Like, what kind of value-added products or services does she see emerging?
She sees a future where Pakistan isn't just known for its raw materials, but for its expertise in specialized sectors. She wants Pakistani businesses to be known for innovation, craftsmanship, and quality.
Ambitious vision.
It is.
And it aligns with that global trend towards knowledge-based economies. But what are the practical steps to get there?
She talked about the need for investment in research and development, skills training, and technology adoption. She's also a strong advocate for promoting entrepreneurship and supporting startups, especially in sectors like tech and renewable energy.
Right, makes sense. Fostering a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship is crucial for driving economic growth and, creating high-value jobs.
And she's been, actively engaging with overseas Pakistanis, encouraging them to invest back home.
Yeah, that's a smart move. The Pakistani diaspora represents a significant source of potential investment capital and expertise.
Exactly. And she had some specific advice for those looking to invest.
Oh, I'm all ears. What sectors did she highlight as having the most, potential?
She highlighted the energy sector, particularly renewable energy, as a key area for investment. She also sees tremendous potential in tech startups and other innovative ventures. She actually cautioned against traditional real estate investments, encouraging people to explore more dynamic and productive sectors.
Interesting. So she's not just looking for any investment, she's looking for strategic investments that align with her vision for a more diversified and innovative Pakistani economy.
Exactly. And the government is creating incentives to attract these types of investments.
Oh, like what kind of incentives?
Well, they've established special economic zones with tax breaks and streamlined regulations, specifically designed to attract foreign investment. They've also set up dedicated technology zones and parks to foster innovation and entrepreneurship in the tech sector. And they're making it easier for overseas Pakistanis to obtain business visas and, navigate the bureaucratic hurdles.
It sounds like they're making a real effort to create a more business-friendly environment. But what about, practical support for businesses, especially those, looking to export to the U.S.?
That's where those trade shows we discussed earlier come in. They're a great way for Pakistani businesses to showcase their products, connect with potential buyers, and get a feel for the U.S. market.
Right. We talked about sourcing at Magic. Were there any other specific shows she mentioned?
Yeah, she highlighted a few key ones, like Texpio, which focuses on textiles, the Food and Agro Show, and HEM, which stands for Health, Engineering, and Manufacturing.
It's great that they have dedicated shows for different sectors, but how do people actually find information about these shows?
The Consulate General's website is a great resource. They have a dedicated section for trade and investment with details about upcoming shows, participation guidelines, and contact information. They're also very active on social media, and they send out regular email updates to the business community.
That's helpful. So they're making the information readily accessible. But let's be honest, attending these trade shows can be expensive, especially for smaller businesses. Did she mention any kind of financial assistance or incentives for, overseas Pakistani businesses wanting to participate?
This is where it gets really interesting. The consulate, with support from the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, actually sponsors eligible businesses to attend these shows.
Real?
Yeah, they cover airfare, accommodation, and even provide other courtesies.
Wow, that's incredibly generous. They're really pulling out all the stops to promote Pakistani businesses in the U.S. What What exactly do they mean by courtesies?
Think of it as like VIP treatment. They might arrange meetings with key buyers, provide transportation, and even organize networking events to help these businesses make the most of their trip.
That's a fantastic opportunity for Pakistani businesses. It takes a lot of the financial burden and logistical hassle out of its attending these shows.
It does. And it shows their commitment to fostering trade relations and supporting the growth of Pakistani businesses in the U.S. market.
Speaking of trade relations, where do you see Pakistan-U.S. trade headed in the next 5 years, based on what we've learned from, Fatima's insights?
That's a great question. And it's one we'll tackle in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore her predictions for the future of Pakistan-U.S. trade, including the specific sectors she sees as having the most potential for growth.
I'm eager to hear her perspective. It sounds like she has a clear vision for how Pakistan can leverage its strengths and capitalize on the opportunities presented by the U.S. market.
She does. And it's a vision that's both ambitious and inspiring. But before we move on, I want to bring our listener into the conversation. We talked a lot about Fatima's efforts to diversify Pakistan's exports. What new products or sectors from Pakistan would you be most interested in seeing in the U.S. market?
That's a great question for our listeners to ponder. It encourages them to think beyond the familiar and consider the untapped potential that exists within Pakistan's diverse economy.
Exactly. So while you're mulling that over, we'll take a quick break and be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive into the remarkable journey of Quratulain Fatima.
What strikes me about Quratulain Fatima's story is how she embodies this idea of, like Pakistan 2.0. It's not just about textiles anymore. It's about like tech innovation, carving out a new space in the global marketplace.
Absolutely. And she's not just talking the talk. She's actively working to make that vision a reality. But her focus on trade and economics, it goes beyond just, dollars and cents. She sees it as a way to like promote peace and stability.
That's a really interesting point. Can you elaborate on that a bit more? How does she connect trade to those larger goals?
Well, she often says, if trades don't cross borders, then soldiers do. It's a stark reminder that, economic interdependence can be a powerful force for peace.
That's a powerful statement. It suggests that by building strong economic ties, countries become more invested in each other's success and, reduces the likelihood of conflict.
Exactly. And this idea seems to be at the heart of her work in promoting Pakistan-U.S. trade. She believes that strengthening economic cooperation between the two countries can lead to greater understanding, stability, and ultimately a more peaceful world.
It's fascinating how she seamlessly weaves together these themes of economic empowerment, cultural representation, and diplomacy. It's not just about, trade figures. It's about building bridges between people.
Right. And a big part of that is changing perceptions about Pakistan.
Yeah.
She encourages the Pakistani-American community to be like ambassadors for their homeland, sharing its rich culture and highlighting its untapped potential.
Smart strategy. I mean, who better to challenge stereotypes and showcase, the real Pakistan than those who have a personal connection to it?
Exactly. She encourages them to share their stories, their experiences, their, cultural heritage with their American friends and colleagues. She also emphasizes the importance of tourism.
Tourism can be such a powerful tool for changing perceptions. It allows people to experience a place firsthand, to connect with its people and culture in a way that, news headlines or social media posts never can.
Absolutely. And she's particularly keen on promoting Pakistan as a destination for adventure tourism and religious tourism. It's about showcasing the diversity of what Pakistan has to offer.
That makes a lot of sense. And with easier visa processes and a growing focus on sustainable tourism practices, Pakistan is becoming increasingly appealing to a wider range of, travelers.
Right. And it's not just about attracting tourists from abroad. She also encourages Pakistani Americans to visit and reconnect with their roots.
I love that. It's about fostering a sense of pride and connection to their heritage. And let's not forget about the economic benefits of tourism. It can be a significant driver of job creation and economic growth, especially in rural communities.
Absolutely. And it can introduce much-needed foreign currency into the economy.
Speaking of economic growth, you mentioned earlier that Fatima has been actively engaging with overseas Pakistanis to encourage them to, invest back home.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways she's facilitating that process?
Well, apart from highlighting the investment incentives offered by the government, like like those special economic zones we discussed earlier. She's also been instrumental in organizing events and initiatives that connect potential investors with opportunities in Pakistan.
Okay, for example.
Well, she's organized delegations of Pakistani business leaders and government officials to visit the U.S., showcasing investment opportunities in various sectors. And she's also facilitated the participation of Pakistani companies in major international trade fairs and exhibitions,
Oh, okay.
giving them a platform to connect with potential investors and partners.
That's smart. It's about, proactively creating those connections and making it easier for investors to see the potential in Pakistan.
Exactly. And she's been particularly successful in attracting investment in the tech sector.
Oh.
Remember that Silicon Valley conference we talked about? That was a major milestone in connecting Pakistani startups
Yeah.
with U.S. investors.
Right. And it seems to have generated a lot of buzz and interest in Pakistan's tech scene.
It definitely has. And it's just one example of how she's leveraging her connections and her platform to promote Pakistan's economic potential.
It's impressive how she's managed to achieve so much in such a short time. It speaks to her effectiveness as a leader, her ability to, inspire and mobilize people, and her deep commitment to her vision for Pakistan.
I agree. And what's truly inspiring is that she sees her work as more than just a job.
Yeah.
It's a mission, a calling to serve her country and make a difference in the world.
It's a reminder that true leadership is about more than just, holding a position of power.
Mm-hmm.
It's about using that power to empower others,
Yes.
to create opportunities, and to build a better future, for everyone.
Beautifully said. And her journey from a fighter pilot to a champion for peace and economic empowerment is a testament to the transformative power of individual initiative and the ripple effects it can create. But before we get too sentimental, let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the specific challenges she faces in her work, because it can't all be smooth sailing, right?
Of course not. Every endeavor, especially one as ambitious as, hers, comes with its own set of hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the key, obstacles she's encountered?
So we were talking about some of the challenges that Quratulain Fatima faces in her work, promoting Pakistan-U.S. trade.
Yeah, it's not always easy to bridge those cultural gaps, right? And shift perception.
Exactly. One of the biggest hurdles she's mentioned is overcoming those outdated stereotypes about Pakistan. Some people in the U.S. still have a limited or negative view of the country, often based on media portrayals that focus on conflict or instability.
Right. That's a common problem for many countries that are, trying to rebrand themselves or attract foreign investment. How's she addressing that?
She's taking a multifaceted approach. First, she emphasizes the importance of personal stories and people-to-people diplomacy. She believes that by sharing their own experiences and perspectives, Pakistani Americans can help to paint a more nuanced and accurate picture of their homeland.
That makes sense. Personal stories can be so powerful in breaking down stereotypes and, fostering empathy. It's harder to hold on to negative generalizations when you're confronted with the lived experiences of individuals who challenge those assumptions.
Exactly. And she's not just relying on individuals to do this work. She's also, actively engaging with the media, both in Pakistan and the U.S., to promote a more balanced and positive narrative about Pakistan.
That's crucial. The media plays such a powerful role in shaping public perception. By working with journalists and media outlets, she can help to amplify those positive stories and, challenge the dominant narratives that often perpetuate stereotypes.
Right. And she's also working to address some of the practical challenges that hinder trade between the two countries. One issue she's highlighted is the need for greater transparency and predictability in Pakistan's regulatory environment.
That's a common concern for businesses operating in emerging markets. Inconsistent regulations or bureaucratic hurdles can create uncertainty and discourage investment.
Exactly. And she's been working with the government to streamline regulations, improve transparency, and create a more predictable business environment for both, domestic and foreign investors.
Sounds like she's taking a very pragmatic approach,
Yeah.
recognizing that economic diplomacy involves addressing both perception and policy.
Absolutely. And she's also been working to address issues related to infrastructure and logistics, which can be, major bottlenecks for trade.
That's a crucial point. Efficient transportation networks, reliable energy supply, and modern port facilities are essential for facilitating trade and attracting foreign investment.
Exactly. And while Pakistan has made progress in these areas, there's still, work to be done.
Hmm.
She's been advocating for increased investment in infrastructure development, particularly the transportation and energy sectors. She sees this as, key to unlocking Pakistan's economic potential and making it more competitive in the global marketplace.
It's a long-term strategy, but a necessary one. Improving infrastructure not only facilitates trade, but also creates jobs, boosts economic growth, and improves the quality of life for ordinary citizens.
Exactly. It's about creating a virtuous cycle where improvements in one area lead to positive ripple effects across the entire economy.
Listening to all of this, it's clear that Quratulain Fatima's work goes far beyond just promoting trade.
Hmm.
She's a true visionary, someone who sees the interconnectedness of economic development, social progress, and international cooperation.
Absolutely. And she's not afraid to, tackle those complex challenges head on. She's a role model for aspiring leaders, demonstrating that with determination, strategic thinking, and a deep commitment to serving others, it's possible to make a real difference in the world.
Her story is a testament to the power of individual initiative and the impact one person can have on a global scale. It's a reminder that we all have the potential to be agents of change,
Hmm.
to challenge the status quo and to work towards a more just and prosperous world.
Beautifully said. And I think it's a fitting note on which to wrap up our deep dive into the remarkable journey of Quratulain Fatima.
It has been an insightful conversation.
It has.
I'm sure our listeners have gained a deeper appreciation for the complexities of Pakistan-U.S. relations and the individuals who are working to strengthen those ties.
Absolutely. We encourage you to continue exploring this topic and to stay tuned for more insightful deep dives on the Mansuri Review.
Until next time.
Until next time.